is the speed with which time passes and the speed with which our lives seem to collapse, you know? You blink and a year goes by, you blink again and 10 years go by. It starts in 1969 with an 18-year-old girl. I'll give you the really short version. It's in Brooklyn, which is where I'm from and where Karen Berger is from, so we have a nice little Brooklyn connection in there. And she's in Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn at a bar. She meets a guy. They go out onto the docks together. He pulls out a knife. He murders her and tosses her body into the bay. She somehow manages to get herself up through the water, out of the bay, staggers back into the bar, and discovers that 50 years have passed in the time that she's been in the bay. So there's a whole mystery there of what the hell happened, why did 50 years pass, how is she still alive? And then the topper is that she discovers that through those 50 years, someone else has been living her life. There's a 68-year-old version of her who's gotten married, had children, grandchildren. So it's a story about the passage of time. It's about identity. There's a horror element. There's a cosmic spiritual element. It's got a lot of layers. It's a really, really fun story.
When I first got the script, I literally made a playlist on Spotify for it. I needed like music inspiration because the minute he says 1960s, I had like just nothing but 60s, 70s, and 80s music like down the line. I had to get that inspiration out. And so like the tone of it and drawing and all the design is very, very detailed, and the personal connection with this book. Like I can kind of relate to the character herself, being kind of like a rebel character, and so yeah, it's a very, very interesting book. I'm looking forward to working on the next issue.
She's great, so that there's been very little fiddling around. You know, like you sent a bunch of layouts recently. I went, oh, that one panel, can we change the angle? And that was it. She's really, really talented and a really, really good storyteller. And visual storytelling is what this game is all about. You know, it's one thing if you can draw really well, but if you can draw well and you can't tell a story, you're in the wrong business. And she's really, really good at what she does.
I'm so used to working on a lot of licensed projects, and when you're working on licensing issues and comics in general, you don't get a lot of time because they're having to turn out and keep up with the latest story, whatever the latest story arc is. With this, I was like, we had little notes, but we also had like a lot of time to like break down like what do we want this character to look like.
Right, the designs, and that's so important.
Yeah, all the designs, like who is our supernatural figures, what is the supernatural element, and can we take time to design that? And like a lot of inspiration came like whatever movies we saw. Like I got a lot of inspiration from The Shape of Water. So a lot of
right, obviously, because there's a lot of floating around.
A lot of floating around. But it's like, yeah, a lot of it was a lot of design elements from that.
You
so
take
it's like
a lot of baths too while you were drawing.
But yeah, there's like just a lot of communication.
It's a 4-issue miniseries, which will be a complete story in itself. But there will be little threads dangling at the end because I have a whole other place to take this. So if the first 4 issues do well enough, we're off on the next stage of the adventure. It'll be out in February. This idea that this woman is killed in 1969 and somehow survives, and it's 50 years later and she doesn't know why, I think that's a great hook. And there's a lot of mysteries within mysteries here, you know, and I think that will draw people in and draw them through.
If you know the original like story of the doppelganger, what this legend is that if you find your doppelganger, you die. And if you look in the eyes of your doppelganger, you're dead, and the doppelganger takes your place. So this is what I find. I like the idea. I love dark and creepy things. So like the minute I saw this picture, I was like, doppelganger mystery. Tell me more. So that's the way I can describe it.